Chad, also underway, discussions between the Lakers and Dan Hurley, national championship winning coach at Yukon, met with his team this morning and said, yeah, I'm in talks with the Los Angeles Lakers. According to John Fanta, literally seconds ago, he tweeted out that the decision will be made by this weekend from Hurley on what's the next step for him. It's a big shift coming up for college basketball if he were to bolt for the NBA.
Yeah, Wojbomb, Adrian Wojnarowski, calling it they're preparing a massive long-term contract to bring the back-to-back national champion from Yukon to the Lakers. You know, this is not unprecedented by any means. If you remember 20 years ago, Hutton, 2004, I think the number was $40 million. I think it was $8 million a year. The Lakers and Mitch Kupchak tried to pay Coach K to leave Duke, and he turned it down. At the time, I believe Coach K was the U.S. men's national team coach, so Kobe Bryant was a big fan and was pushing for that at the time in 2004.
Yeah, it was $8 million.
$8 million a year in 2004 was huge. So the Lakers have done this before. Great college coaches have bolted before. Billy Gillispie, Billy Donovan. Billy Gillispie, not a two-time national champion, a guy who got himself fired from Kentucky. Billy Donovan is a guy Kentucky's always wanted, won 2 national titles at Florida. He bolts for the NBA. Brad Stevens, great track record at Butler, eventually bolts for the Boston Celtics, had a lot of success there, is now in their front office. I could see this happening. It also really surprised me. When you think about the track record, it doesn't surprise you as much. But Hutton, when I first heard that Dan Hurley is the top of the list in the name with the Lakers, and in large part because all we've heard about is J.J. Redick for the last 2 weeks with the Lakers. And now all of a sudden, no, it's Dan Hurley that's the leader in the clubhouse, and he's going to get to decide. And if J.J. Redick gets the gig, it's because Dan Hurley turned them down. This surprises me.
Well, the other example would be John Beilein.
Yeah.
With the Cavs and the money
that was
there.
An absolute failure.
Yeah. And so buyer beware, but also if you're jumping from where you have success and you're going to go to the NBA, I mean, beware of that too. It's a different atmosphere. It's a different world. And it's controlled by LeBron here. If LeBron wanted just straight J.J. Redick, but they're good friends. I mean, I don't doubt one bit that LeBron would play for J.J. Redick as his head coach. J.J. Redick would be coaching alongside LeBron in that aspect. But, Chad, this is no doubt LeBron's signature on it. He's already tweeted in response to this report, and not in response to the report, response to a clip that was on The Man in the Three. Old Man in the Three, which is the podcast with Redick, saying he's so damn good, along with his staff, super creative with their love it. And this is a clip that you pointed out earlier this morning. Yeah,
I know we have some audio of this, but this blew me away because it is J.J. Redick and Dan Hurley talking offensive basketball. And it's
2 candidates.
It's funny because it's the top 2 guys, the only 2 guys named for the Lakers job right now. And it's J.J. Redick asking Dan Hurley about how he came up with his offense. And this is what LeBron responded to, saying, this is so damn good, was Dan Hurley describing the offense. Here it is.
There's a play you guys have where you run a skip pass to the big, and then you get into a series of high splits. Sometimes it's a ghost screen for a dunk, or you get to a 3-pointer either on a DHO or a catch and shoot. Where did you steal that play from?
Hey, so I think the inspiration the last 2 years, especially this year, is like watching college football now, or Shanahan from the NFL, how they'll have these formations, obviously the pace and the tempo of their cuts and their actions, but like how they'll have trips out of shotgun, with 2 in the backfield, and out of that formation, there's 7 or 8 different things they do out of it, right? There's a sweep, a play action, a deep post, right? All these different things. So I think going into this year, me and Luke Murray, we got together and we're we want to have 10 different formations, all right? Whether it's, a floppy, a regular horns with the 4 and 5 high, an inverted horns, a low 1-4, a box set. We want to have like 8 to 10 different, different formations that we would have, all these different wrinkles for, right? Something for a shooter, whether it's like a, wide pin or flare rescreen or, a jet, jets for us, which are staggers. So out of every formation, we want to have something for a shooter, something that's going to finish with some type of a ball screen action, something with a deep post up, something to open up an ISO for somebody to drive it. Like we want to have, so out of each formation, anytime we run it, the defense is going to have no idea whether it's a post up, something for a shooter, or whatever it is. So that action you're talking about, that's, we saw somebody in FIBA do it. Maybe it was a team in Turkey. And we just layered on top of what theirs was. Theirs was just basically a ghost, like that ghost action from guard to guard, where they were just trying to drive it. And the 5-man is in that opposite weak side corner. And now if his man steps up to help, they would just throw the lob dunk, and that was the whole action. So for us, we just wanted to kind of, if that was taken away, how are we going to continue to flow and play? So if we couldn't get downhill and drive it, and the big sees that he's not going to get a lob dunk, he's now he's now stepping, catching that over the top pass, that guard, that ghost. He's using the flare into what would be a grenade or a dribble handoff. If they blow that up, now that weak side corner guard is now going to come back to a zoom on ball. And if it's a switching team, look for your slips. If they lock and chase everything, you could curl the 4-man. That's the one that you saw Alex Caravan slip and dunk it. But it's actions that's just layered on top of each other, and we just try to disguise it with the formations.
So good. So here you have a guy that is at the top of his game in college basketball and won a national title and decided we're going to tweak things going into the next year. And to do that, he stole from Kyle Shanahan in the NFL with multiple formations, with the speed and tempo he saw in college football, and some offensive sets from someone in FIBA he thinks maybe the Turkish national team, possibly. That's a guy that's on the cutting edge, that's always looking for what's next. It's why I love hearing him talk the X's O's of the game. So did LeBron James. So did J.J. Redick, the other finalist for the Lakers job. He's going to do great, I think, wherever he ends up. Obviously, he's done very well at Yukon. But Hutton, I might surprise you a little bit here. In all the research I've done about J.J. Redick, I think J.J. Redick's going to be fine as the Lakers coach also if they decide to go that route. I do think he's got some of the pedigree that's needed. Now, he hasn't done it, past youth sports, but
coach's son in youth sports.
Right. I think if you're going to sell your fan base and the public on, we have identified the next Pat Riley. Pat Riley came from player to broadcast booth to assistant coach first, and then was elevated to head coach of the Lakers, and it worked out well. If that's the what you're selling, then okay, maybe. But Dan Hurley is clearly superior with his resume.
Well, and how much of it is selling that versus selling we're keeping LeBron James to your fan base if you're the Lakers? And I think if you land Hurley as the hire, if LeBron ends up elsewhere because you're not drafting Bronny, which I think we know the Lakers are going to end up doing, if you're not drafting Bronny, then LeBron's out, but you still have Hurley there to, steady the ship.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there are so many examples of the college coach not getting it done in the NBA because of the different level or lack thereof of control.
Yep.
But, I mean, you've got coaches that can draw up plays and coaches who can't. And, I mean, it looked like whatever the Lakers were doing on the sideline and on the bench wasn't working.
Well, it was.
And this is a coach that would get it work. But there's been Coach Cal. There's been Lon Kruger. There has been Rick Pitino. Fred Hoiberg. There are plenty of examples. But Beeline comes to mind because he was out before February rolled around, before the All-Star break. So do I think that, Hurley enters with a better resume and stays longer? Yeah, I do. But as much as I want to say this is a hire because he's the best coach candidate, I mean, this is also a hire to keep LeBron James.
Well, and it's also, you got to have the right personality.
That's it, yeah.
And I think Hurley has that. I don't think he will like not having the power, which I think he would with the Lakers if he took that job. And he's still,
LeBron.
Yeah, he's still mulling it over if he's going to take the job or not.
Sure.
But LeBron has said, I got 1, maybe 2 years left. So even all of the J.J. Redick reports and whoever is writing those reports, they're getting that from someone in the Lakers camp and someone in Redick's camp. But all those reports say J.J. Redick is not just someone that LeBron James likes. This is someone we see is going to reset the franchise when LeBron retires in a year or two, or when he's gone, that he's going to do that. So everyone
until the superstar wants him fired.
Everyone is saying that is how it's going to go down. But
if Anthony Davis wants him out, he'll be fired.
Right. Yes, for all of those guys. But Dan Hurley has got a little bit of Coach K with him. Coach K made the men's national team work surrounded by egos. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, guys who got their way. And for whatever reason, they looked at Coach K, even though a lot of them didn't even play in college basketball. They went straight to the NBA, and they respected him. They liked him. I'm not saying Dan Hurley is Coach K right now, but does he demand that level of respect? Or have we gotten so far away from that, even over the last 20 years, that you're never going to have that respect as a coach in the NBA?
Well,
with players in the league, if you're a superstar.
Yeah, I mean, we're still seeing the top players play in the Olympics, though, for Team USA.
Yeah.
So in that regard, maybe we keep that around. That type of mentality, though, is few and far between, especially, Chad, in November, December, January, sometimes February of the league schedule. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crank up playoff basketball, and I'll tune in. And that's whenever I think you gain the respect of whoever's involved there. And if you're not, especially the coaches, ask Charles Barkley, they catch the blame even if it's on the players. Even if you can't reel in all the egos all the time. Or you have one of the other players banging another player's girlfriend or wife, or whatever the storyline was in L.A. a couple years back. I mean, you have so many other factors that maybe behind the scenes are covered up easier in college, but the coach runs the program. And the organization in the NFL, the NBA, and the association, there is no association. It's a player. It's your max contract player that's running the organization. And that's unfortunate.
I've also seen this whole thing. Let's talk about the Hurley side of it, because I think you're spot on about the NBA side of it and the players. The Hurley college side of it. Yeah, two things are true here. Okay, and it's pissing me off seeing people. It pisses me off seeing people battle back and forth in media over this, okay? There is a lot, and I would deem this, and I don't use this word as liberally as many will. I would say the woke media in college basketball cannot stand anyone, and I mean anyone, remotely bringing to light that players getting everything they want with money and transfer portal and everything doesn't piss off coaches and doesn't affect coaches' decisions to stay in college football or basketball or to move on to the NFL or the NBA, okay? Now, I think Nicole Auerbach tweeted this out. Someone, posted and said, it's not like this hasn't happened before transfer portal and NIL, where great college coaches want to test themselves the highest level. These guys have egos. If they've done it all in college, they want to try to do it all in the NBA. That's true. Mm-hmm. All right? That's one truth in this.
Okay.
Let me give you the other truth. Dan Hurley and every other coach in college basketball does not like having to re-recruit his own players he's already recruited and go outbid other programs for those players and deal with the headaches of the transfer portal. That has nothing to do with coaches not wanting players to get paid or to get some money. They don't care about that. But the transfer portal part affects every coach in college sports. And they don't like it. They don't. Some are better at manipulating it and making it work to their benefit. But don't kid yourself to think that's not at least one factor. If Dan Hurley is saying, I can get away from that part of it and just focus on the basketball, and yeah, I got to focus on the egos within this team and superstars and everything else, but it's different than a college game. Yeah, I think that's a part of it. I'm also willing to say what is true, and that is college coaches at the highest level that have achieved to the highest level, they want to challenge themselves at the highest level of professional sports. So both are true. But I hate the either or. Oh, there's no problem with it. The coaches love it. No issue with the transfer portal. Stop it. These kids should get everything they want. They should make every decision they want to every day, every season. They should be a free agent every year, go wherever they want, do all that. It does bother coaches. Whether it bothers you, the woke media in college basketball or not, it doesn't. It does bother them. So I think both are true with Dan Hurley.
Well, and maybe becoming the exception to the rule is motivating.
Yeah.
The exception to the rule of jumping to the NBA and winning titles there, and doing so on LeBron's way out of the league. I mean, that's also enticing. It wouldn't be enticing for me to be Hurley and be like, yeah, I'm the championship winning coach here, and I've got to coach Bronny James. I mean, that to me would be an X factor where I'm staying where I am. I've got more control over the Yukon program in that sentence alone, that question alone.
He hasn't taken the job yet, right? I mean, we're comparing it to Coach K.
But he's met with his team to let them know that he is contemplating
Coach K,
enough to meet with his team.
Right. Coach K stayed. But point being, I'm saying all this about him hating the transfer portal, and I guarantee you he does. But he still may want to stay in college for the reasons Hutton is laying out there.
Yeah.
Mitch Kupchak was in Coach K's Durham living room recruiting him and offering him $8 million a year in 2004. And he almost took it. And he's been open about almost taking that job, and he didn't. There is an allure to the Lakers organization, to that team, to that franchise, to that market, and the top of the sport in the NBA. So, yeah, I mean,
and LA.
He's going to consider.
Yeah, you mentioned the market, but like the LA market versus East Coast, like there is the flash, the circumstance of being the Lakers head coach versus being the Charlotte Hornets head coach.
Absolutely.
And that's a major factor, too.
Hutton, you want to know the 5 burning questions that ESPN listed for Dan Hurley to the Lakers? What does this mean? The 5 biggest questions.
Count them down from 5 to 1 here.
Number 1, why are the Lakers targeting Hurley, a coach with no NBA experience? Okay, and they have their NBA insiders. Brian Windhorst weigh in.
Okay, did they weigh in on JJ Redick?
You're gonna love one of these, right? Because you've already hit on it.
Okay.
Number 2, what would Hurley bring to the Lakers? How would his coaching style translate to the NBA? Okay, right. That's good. Yeah. Let's ask that question.
Ask that question, yeah.
If you're the Lakers, you'd want to ask that question too. Yeah. Number 3, what would a Hurley hire mean for LeBron James? We've hit that. Right? Hit that in the first segment, no doubt.
Maybe higher on my list if I'm the Lakers.
Number 4, what could the Lakers do this offseason to enhance the roster for Hurley or another coach? Okay. Yeah, let's see what the Lakers front office could do. And number 5, took all the way down to number 5, Hutton. You ready? How would a Hurley hire affect the likelihood of the Lakers drafting Bronny James?
That goes with number 3, though.
It's number 5 on your playbook, but it's number 1 in your hearts, ESPN. Number 1 in your hearts.
June 29th, I believe, is the deadline for LeBron to opt out of his contract, of the 1-year option. The 26th is the NBA draft. Hurley will have made up his mind by then.
Can I give you a little snippet of what ESPN had to say about this? Whether the Lakers target Bronny James, a projected second-rounder, might not be Hurley's call. And I don't think there's a direct implication one way or the other as to their immediate strategy in cultivating the fringes of their roster.
Oh.
The Lakers will this is great. The Lakers will, Hutton, presumably target a more NBA-ready rookie with the 17th overall pick.
Presumably.
Amen.
Presumably,
Thank God, the Lakers presumably will want to draft a more NBA-ready player with the 17th overall pick in the first round. That's good to know.
Unless LeBron tells them, I'm going to Phoenix because Bronny's going to be drafted at 22 overall.
Oh, my gosh.
Because they only have 1 pick in this draft, and he's going to Phoenix, and so am I. I'm taking my talents
so funny to me.
To the desert.
It leaves the door open for them to take a longer-term prospect in the second round, number 55. Severe long-term.
Severe long-term prospect.
This is like a Major League Baseball draft where guys are in the minors for 4 years. Man. Or the NHL draft where guys, go to somewhere in Alberta for 3 or 4 years to finishing school. This is what you do with Bronny James. About a 2, 3, 4 year process to get him ready.
Instead of that 3-year process being in college basketball.
Yep.
With 3 years left of eligibility. And who knows the eligibility circumstance and the parameters by the time we get there 3 years from now.
I do like this, too. This is from Jeremy Wu, who answered this question.
Yeah.
During his back-to-back title run, Hurley and his Yukon staff did an excellent job of identifying undervalued talent on the recruiting trail and developing them into NBA prospects. I mean, that's fine. He's correlating that with Bronny James. Maybe an admission from ESPN that clearly he is undervalued by everyone in the NBA right now. And hey,
except for 2 teams that were
diamond in the rough.
Except for those 10 teams that were apparently turned down for a workout.
Yeah. He's a diamond in the rough, guys, who just happens to be the son of LeBron James. That's just total coincidence.
He's no Nepo baby.
I mean, take the name James from Bronny James and show me the film of him at USC and tell me about the health scare and everything else in his stat line and show me how he is a draftable NBA prospect.
Show me where
it's impossible to
Dan
do.
Hurley that we perceive Dan Hurley to be, like the guy that goes after fans, says, I'm going to knock your ass out, right?
Yep.
Is told, hey, here's your contract, and we're going to give you power. And the very first decision that has to be made is one of these 2 things. Either you're drafting a player at 17, not named Bronny, and then you're drafting him in the 55 overall, or, hey, you're not a part of this decision. It's already been made for you. So after being pitched this job from the jump, that's the report, is not just recently, but since the job was open, maybe even prior, you're pitching Hurley on being the face of the franchise moving forward, even post-LeBron. But once you get there, it's still the Los Angeles LeBron Lakers.
Yeah, to me, it's all about how bad do you want out of Yukon and into the NBA with the Lakers? How bad do you want this job, this money?
Yeah.
Because if you really want the Lakers gig, then you're going to agree to draft Bronny James, if that's what they tell you in the process. If you really want to be the man and make sure that you are the head coach and you're making the calls, then you really don't want to draft Bronny James. I'll tell you who will absolutely draft Bronny James if that's part of the deal. J.J. Redick. J.J. Redick's going to 1,000% be on board. But he will draft him with a 17th pick if it means getting the Lakers gig. And I don't blame him, by the way. Like, if I really want a job and I want to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, and the part of the process is to make sure that LeBron is happy, we have to draft his kid in the 2nd round, then if I really want that job that badly, I'll probably agree to it.
And
but if you're a coach of any standing that wants to have power with that team, you say no to that.
Well, then you take the Hornets job.
Yeah.
And you lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the thing is like if
or
you're
you
entering
stay
the
at UConn and continue winning.
Or you stay as the analyst for the NBA Finals moving forward.
Yeah.
You know.
But I'm saying now, granted, J.J. Redick, yeah, he can stay in TV. Dan Hurley could also just stay there and continue winning national titles.
How about this? Just coming down. The NCAA has approved a policy change that will allow schools to place corporate logos in the middle of their football fields.
Yeah, this was coming because of the revenue share. So
think of Pilot Oil, I guess, in Knoxville, FedEx in Memphis. All the different aspects of what Tyson Foods could be in Arkansas. I mean,
yeah, they're going to have those little 25-yard line
Kroger at
circle
Kentucky.
logos up, more than likely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already all over the stadium. I don't see it as a huge deal. It's going to be a little bit distracting.
Oh, but middle of the field, watch it. Power T.
No, think about if they put it in the middle of the field.
That's what it's been approved here.
GTFO.
In the middle of their football fields.
Oh, man, I don't like that.
Think about the iconic views that we've seen across college football with just the college logo.
I pray.
The trademarked logo.
I pray. My solemn prayer here is that what they mean is that it just is going to be in the, not necessarily the dead center middle of the field, but on the field logos. And if you are one of these iconic brands, if you're Alabama or Tennessee or Auburn or Georgia or Michigan or Ohio State, or go down the list of top SEC and Big Ten schools, please just put them on the 25-yard line. You already have like the SEC logo there. You can split it up. SEC here, Pilot Oil here. SEC here, Pilot Oil here, or whatever your corporate sponsor is. Do not remove a power tee from the 50-yard line or change it with a logo in the middle of the power tee. And that's at any big-time school.
I'm trying to find the exact wording
prayer.
of this.
That's my prayer. I'm fine with it being on the field somewhere. Just don't put it like the midfield 50-yard line logo is now going to be a corporate sponsor.
This will gain tremendous reaction from the advertising marketplace. You don't say. You can replace the Alabama. You can replace the Alabama handwriting with, what would it be there, Chad? What would be the Alabama sponsorship? Go ahead.
Milo's Sweet Tea.
Golden Flake.
Regions Bank.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, Golden Flake would be a good one.
And I guess you can do
I'm
beer
such a
now.
hard time coming up with Alabama-based companies.
Just the Alabama album, the Christmas album from Alabama would be the center.
Some ironworks company for Birmingham with all their ironwork over the years. Here's another so that's one part of this with the revenue share. Okay. We're going to do that. We're going to start finding ways for new revenue streams so everyone's covered and we're not laying off the entire athletic department. Ole Miss has paused baseball stadium expansion and renovation because of revenue sharing. They announced they're stopping it because they don't know if they have the money to do it anymore.
Oh.
Because they got to figure out how much of their revenue is going to go to the players, right?
Right.
And they got to rebudget all of that. So that's another part of this. Like top-notch facilities have been a major part of major college sports for about 25 years now.
You know what else is going to happen?
There's been an arms race for facilities, right? So you get the top of everything. That might change a little bit now at certain athletic departments.
You know what else is going to change? All of these analysts being paid behind the scenes.
Yeah, that should go away.
But I mean, you're going to chop. I don't know how much. Yeah. Well, actually, we do know how much because we would have former coaches that are being paid buyouts get paid what, $40,000, $80,000 a year.
Yeah.
For some of these analyst roles behind the scenes. They'll just chop off a litany of these jobs, and then there's no parameters right now to stop them from hiring 100 if they want. Just ask, just go down south and ask Billy Napier. Imagine
if you polled the fans and said, here's how we're going to start robbing Peter to pay Paul in this whole ordeal. We're either going to halt all stadium renovation and construction issues around the athletic complex,
right?
Or we're going to put a cap on buyout for coaches. We're going to salary cap it. You can't go above this for buyouts. And with all that extra money that you're not going to be paying in buyouts, then you can pay the players and pay for facilities for the players and for the fans. I think everyone would sign up for that. I don't know how legal it is to do that with individual contracts, but every fan would sign up for elimination of buyouts. And as opposed to stopping renovation on the baseball stadium in Ole Miss.
And then Jimmy Sexton pops in and says, excuse me? Yeah.
I'd like to get off now.
Coach A is he's considering leaving now. We need more buyout. And then everyone gets a raise. It'll be raise season all over again.
Big as a horse, huh?
I'd like to get off now.
I like the sound of that. That's Jimmy Sexton when he hears the buyout. Big as a horse, huh? Well, I like the sound of that. He would definitely like to get off now, though, if they started saying no more buyouts or they capped it.
Would Bruce Pearl like to get on the bandwagon of Yukon? That's Jeff Goodman throwing out there would be one name that if he were leading the search, there would be one name on the list and one name only, and it's Bruce Pearl to Yukon if Hurley took the job with the Lakers. Now, there are two coaches on staff, Kamani Young and Luke Murray, who are also mentioned.
Bill Murray's son.
And
great Bill Murray.
Luke Murray, I believe.
Luke Murray was referenced in that video we just played with J.J. Redick. He was part of the creation of the offense.
He's been the interim coach because of COVID, because Young, who would have been he is the associate head coach, would have stepped in to be the interim. He also had COVID whenever Hurley did. Mm-hmm. So when you read these resumes, you're like, oh, you can see who was elevated up to be the coach on this day. Well, it's because Young was also out and not permitted to be on the sideline. That being said, it seems like if they go from in-house, it'll be Young, Kamani Young. And if they don't, Goodman's saying it's Bruce Pearl or bust. That's the apple cart you're talking about being just turned over in June.
I will say Bruce Pearl makes a lot of sense.
And this is right after Bruce Pearl
Yukon.
wrote an open letter to incoming freshmen at Auburn literally 2 days ago.
They also had some big presentation for 80th anniversary of D-Day. I saw that he had with his basketball program at Auburn. Bruce Pearl would make a ton of sense.
He made
at Yukon.
Really anywhere.
Yeah.
I just, man, at this stage, with where we are with the portal,
what was the job? Kentucky. We were surprised Kentucky didn't talk to Bruce Pearl.
Yeah, it was never really mentioned. And it's also interesting, and I don't know the true detail behind the scenes with why they don't like each other, but Jeff Goodman and Bruce Pearl don't like each other. And it's just interesting that he's like, yeah, it's going to be Bruce Pearl. If it's like it's a no-brainer, you pick up the phone and call him. Now, Goodman would say, like, hey, there could be other names on a list.
Yeah.
And he was also saying Pearl was a no-brainer for Kentucky, and Kentucky never called. But, man, well,
I'll say that's a sign of someone I'll listen to their opinion, quite frankly, because they don't get along, and he's still willing to swallow his pride and say, yeah, but he's perfect for Yukon. I'm not going to deny that he's a good coach, even if we have our differences, and he'd be great there or Kentucky.
The other name that's
I appreciate that about Jeff
thrown out
Goodman.
immediately is Billy Donovan. Immediate to Yukon. But
Billy Donovan's name is thrown out so much in college
everywhere.
now. I do wonder, does he want to get out of the NBA?
Yes.
Because that's got to be his agent and his representation floating all of this
and
for all these jobs. Could also just want to raise.
From that too. He's had plenty of. So you're saying he's the Mike Gundy of the NBA?
Well, every coach.
Mike Gundy's it's been tamped down now.
Everyone wants to feel wanted and wants to feel loved.
And at some point, you cry wolf.
That's a base human instinct. Coaches especially love to feel loved and wanted. So he may have no interest in Yukon and telling his agent, yeah, get my name out there for that. Let's let people know the name. I want them to know the name Billy Donovan again.
Say my name
Say
again.
my name. And also get everyone to write comparisons about me leaving Florida for the NBA to Dan Hurley leaving Yukon for the NBA. Let's get it all out there. All press is good press. That's what coaches think.
J.J. Redick still in play. This was a headline yesterday that he's still – they're zeroing in on J.J. Redick, and, of course, today's headline is Hurley. But question about what the Colts did in hiring Jeff Saturday. Talking about low-level coaching experience. The lowest, right? Like the Pee Wee version, the assistant. We're going to go hang out and help coach high school football or whatever it might be. In this case, it's just youth sports for J.J. Redick coaching his son in youth sports. And all of a sudden, he's the Los Angeles Lakers head coach, hypothetically. He's interviewed for several jobs. He hasn't landed those jobs. He is the lead analyst for ESPN and ABC. He's going to be the lead analyst for the NBA Finals. He's at the top of that staircase.
He's got his own podcast network that he runs
with LeBron.
Mm-hmm. Does a podcast with LeBron.
It's not going to be covered the same way because LeBron's going to have the signature on it. With the Colts and Jeff Saturday, if Peyton Manning just openly said, I'm coming back, I'm playing, and I'm playing based on these parameters. And everyone kind of knew, like, yeah, of course, it's going to be Jeff Saturday. Or, if Jeff Saturday agrees to be the coach, then if they actually hire him, it's because Peyton's going to be back and they want Peyton.
Yeah.
But is it on the same plane of ridicule expected? Because I think this will be praised a lot more than laughed at. And Saturday was the butt of the joke, including he's at the podium even kind of laughing about it. Like, I don't know how we ended up here. Redick will be the opposite.
When was Saturday brought on? Was it mid-season?
It was mid-season, yeah. But he was brought on mid-season as he was an analyst on ESPN, brought on mid-season.
Yeah. I think it's just
and that was his job interview.
I get the comparison to being on TV and not having a lot of coaching experience. And Jeff Saturday, I think, coached high school, before that, like an assistant coach or something.
Right.
Before he did that. So there are some similarities. But because of the timing of the whole Colts thing, I don't see J.J. Redick as Jeff Saturday. Now I see it as a big swing and risk.
Sure.
I mean, you don't know, but I don't agree with a lot of the things J.J. Redick says. I do think he's a very smart dude. And he clearly knows basketball.
But this would
when
be,
he talks about it. So I'm not going to sit here and summarily say he's going to suck as an NBA coach. Steve Kerr, granted, he had some GM experience with the Suns before that, but Steve Kerr's another guy I looked at and heard him talk about basketball and think, yeah, this is an intelligent dude that's probably going to be a good leader of professional basketball players.
It's not like...
I feel the same way about J.J. Redick.
I mean, the Colts on the hierarchy of organizations in the NFL, the Lakers are the hierarchy of the NBA. Lakers, Celtics, right? This is like Jeff Saturday becoming the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers or Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, that's true.
In terms of how you view the league and said franchise and the history and the championships and all that.
I think what's going against J.J. Redick more than anything, and I think he could be a good head coach, could be good for the Lakers, clearly a smart guy, clearly knows the game. The problem is he is going to be seen and portrayed as LeBron's boy.
Guy. Yeah, and no matter what, they're in business together with their podcast network, their media company.
And that is going to be the issue for me. Whereas Dan Hurley...
The coach's show will be on that network.
Hey, Dan Hurley may come in hat in hand to LeBron, too, and say, yeah, we're going to draft your son with the 55th pick.
Right.
But I'm not going to see Dan Hurley as LeBron's guy, regardless, like J.J. Redick.
He's the Lakers guy, But because we've seen him do it, right? I think the perception would be he's here because he hasn't coached, but LeBron signed off on him. He knows him. He loves the offense.
He'll be seen as the Lakers guy that has some power, that happened to give an olive branch to LeBron by drafting his son at 55.
And Hurley will be viewed as the best candidate.
Yeah, and
right?
he is.
Yeah.